Hey you guys, my name is Mara Sullivan and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is about living your life in full bloom, allowing yourself to blossom and to become the fullest version of yourself, allowing yourself to have a peak season and have multiple peak seasons. A lot of times when we think about hitting a peak, we think that we can only do that one time. Like peak is like that mountaintop. It is, the highest point, of a certain time in your life, but you can have, and we all do have multiple peaks throughout our lives. And so that is what we will be getting into today. This video is one in a few videos that I'm doing on here called It's a Spring Thing. I'm taking all of the themes of spring and applying them to our own lives, talking about coming out of hibernation, talking about living your life in full bloom and allowing yourself to blossom and peak just like flowers do, and just a bunch of different spring related topics. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video, and go check out the other videos in this series if you have not seen the series that I just finished up in early February. I did a Galentine's Day themed series. So just a bunch of videos covering all different like girlhood, womanhood topics, divine feminine, PMS, intimacy, self-care, just a ton of fun girl like sleepover vibe. Wine Time Galentine is the name of that series. And so if you enjoy this series and enjoyed this video, go check out the series that I just finished up called Galentine Wine Time, where I talked, like I said, just about a bunch of like different girlhood, womanhood, fun girl chats. That series made me realize that I love doing a series, and so we're just gonna jump right into the next one. That will be this spring. It's a spring thing series, like I said, covering a bunch of different topics of the spring and applying them to our lives. And this video being the one living your life in full bloom. Some of the best ways to live your life in full bloom are to just, make sure that you are not stunting your growth. A lot of times when you think of anything related to flowers or plants or gardening, the number one theme is growth. And so it is so important to make sure that you are allowing yourself to grow, allowing yourself to blossom, allowing yourself to be all of it is that you are, like the fullest version of yourself, the truest version of yourself. And that comes with allowing yourself to grow. Making sure that you're not stunting your own growth by doing things like self sabotage, having limiting beliefs, listening to negative people. Never, ever, 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 ever take the advice of people who are not doing more than you, who are not happy, who are not living lives that you admire and that you aspire to be like. Their opinions do not matter. It's always the people who are the most negative and who have the most to say, who they are always the people who have never done, what you want to do, who have never achieved the same things that you are going after. And so make sure that you are not, allowing people and their projections and their opinions to stunt your own growth. Make sure that you are staying super focused on what it is that you want. Make sure that you have a why. The number one, the best way to live your life in full bloom is to know why you're here in the first place. And so, whatever it is that makes you light up, whatever it is that gives you the sense of purpose, is going to be the number one thing that is going to be your drive and motivator to keep you going when you do not feel like it. It's going to help you so much to not give up when you feel like it, to deal with failure when failure happens. Always remember that you need to have a strong why. I know that we like to talk a lot about discipline, and we like to, talk about a lot of motivation when it comes to topics and just getting things done and achieving your goals and hitting things, you know, that you want to do with your life. But a lot of times we all know that discipline and motivation are not always the strongest things in keeping us going. You need to have something even stronger than discipline and even stronger than motivation. And a lot of times that is going to be your why. That is going to be your purpose. That is going to be, you know, the reason why you're doing what you want to do in the first place. And so if you don't know what your why is, you have to figure it out. You have to figure out the like overall big picture of your life, the example I give in every single video. Think about your life 60, 70, 80 years old, looking back on your life where you are right now. What do you want to have done? What are the memories that you want to have made? Who are the people that you want to have in your life? What are the relationships that you want to have invested in? You really have to be super intentional with how you live your life. Every single minute makes up every single hour, makes up every single day, and make up the years of our lives. We all know that, but it can be really hard, when you have a ton of noise and a ton of distractions, and when you feel like your mind is all over the place, and you might feel like, that you're not focused on one specific thing. It can be hard to even know your why. It can be hard to figure out your purpose. And so if you do not have a strong why on why you are doing the things that you are doing, make sure that you figure that out. I love doing YouTube. I love creating content. It's important for me to, leave something behind. It's important to me to, at least have made a difference in at least one other person's life. And so I love sharing, the knowledge that anything that I've learned, that I've been through, that has helped me. I love sharing that with other people. I like doing that through YouTube. I like doing that through my podcast. I like, doing that in real life with the, people that I meet on a regular basis. And so you have to know what is important to you and what comes naturally to you, what feels really good to you. If you're someone who, might be struggling with finding your purpose, with finding your why, really think about the things that come naturally to you. Think about the things that you just genuinely enjoy doing, and also the things that you're good at. A lot of times, the things that we're good at, we don't even realize because they come so naturally to us. And so make sure that you are really paying attention to the things that come the most natural to you, the things that you're good at, what other people tell you you're good at, and that you're not taking compliments lightly. Like if multiple people keep saying that you're good at something, take that as a sign that that's probably a part of your bigger life's purpose. That's probably something that you need to lean more into. And so make sure that you are super intentional about living, the life that you want. Make sure that you're super intentional with your time. A lot of the time, we allow so many distractions, we allow so many people, we allow so much outside noise to, really take us off our game, to get in the way of us living our life in full bloom and allowing ourselves to reach our full potential. And the number one, one of the number one factors in doing that is, not getting distracted, is staying focused, is making sure that you are giving yourself the time and the time blocks, and, being super consistent and persistent with your schedules and your habits on a daily basis, and taking yourself and your life super seriously, not wasting the time that you have here. Especially if you're young. I'm 26 when I'm recording this video. It can be so easy to feel like you have your whole life ahead of you, that you have all the time in the world, but it really does go by fast. I study so many people, who I look up to, who are way older than me, and they really do talk about how fast the time goes. And so make sure that you're not wasting your time. If you have things that you want to do and risk that you want to take, even if it's untraditional, even if no one is doing the same thing, even if it's different, allow yourself to take those risks. Allow yourself to not, again, to not stagnate, to not, is that a word? To not stunt your own growth. Do not hold yourself back with sabotage, with limiting beliefs. Allow yourself to use your imagination. When it comes to living your life in peak performance, study the people who are doing things that you want to do. Study people who have achieved goals and lived lives that you want to live. And it doesn't always have to be, I know a lot of times when we think about peak performers, we think about athletes, we think about the top performers in the world, the singers, the pop stars, like all that. But that might not be, what is, you know, the successful people to you. And so you really have to hone in on the life that you want to live. Your number one peak performer who you might be looking up to might be a mom, it might be a grandma, it might be, a store owner, or like a brick and mortar, business person. So you have to figure out the people in your life who are the most influential to you. Those are going to be your peak performers. I would say make a list from like 3 to 5 of those people. Keep it pretty small, keep it concise, and learn as much as you can from those people, especially if you have at least one of those people in your real life. Make sure that you do what you can to spend some time with them, see if you can have a conversation with them and learn from them as much as possible. Even if you don't want to ask for their time, or if they don't have any time, just see how they go about their day. Like, study whatever it is that they've built, whatever, however it is that they run their lives that you admire, and just take note. Like you can be on the outside looking into someone else's life and just noticing the little things, how they carry themselves, how they speak to other people, how do they spend their time. Like you don't always have to, be right up under someone to learn everything from them, but just take note of how they live their lives, especially if they are people that you look up to. Again, I recommend having 3 to 5 of those people. For me, I love my like peak performers or top performers that I look up to. This is gonna sound crazy. I love Martha Stewart. I love, again, she's 80 years old, and I love that she is still working. I love people who have found the thing that they love to do and will do it no matter how old they are, no matter how much money they have. Like for me, the people who I look up to the most are the people who I know can retire. Like the people who I know have left their mark, have made their money, who do not have to work anymore, but they still do. Those are the people that I look up to, because that means to me that they found the thing that they really love. And I think that everyone should have that thing. That thing that you're going to do no matter what, as cheesy as it is. We have all heard that quote, like, what would you do if money was not a factor? That is so true. I don't think that we ask it the right way. Like, I think it should be more of, once you have made the money, once you have become, like, hit the peak, like we were talking about earlier, of, the pinnacle of your success, what do you want to do after that? I think so many times, and we've all seen it, a lot of super successful people have, and maybe you've done this in your own life, where you've hit a certain benchmark, or you have reached a certain mountaintop, or you've hit a peak, and you don't know what to do next because you did the thing that you wanted to do. And so I think that it's really important to have, again, that overall big picture of your life is so important, because I do believe that whatever you want is possible for you, and it not just possible, but it's necessary for you to do it. It's necessary for you to live your life in full bloom. It is necessary for you to allow yourself to blossom and to become the person who you are. Get everything in you out. I love the quote, live full and die empty. I think that it is so important to get every single thing, every idea, every plan, every goal, every dream, everything in you. I think it's so important to do everything in your power to get it out of you before you leave this earth. I know that so many people don't like talking about death. A lot of people don't like thinking about themselves no longer being here. But it's so important, especially when you're thinking about the big picture of your life and the things that you want to do. Think about what you want to be remembered for. Like I said before, something that I really value is leaving some kind of legacy, whatever that might look like. And, helping at least one other person with my story, with things that I've learned. And so it's really important for you, again, to know your why, to be super intentional. Another, habit of most peak performers is, making a sacrifice. And so I don't know anyone who has done anything major and been super successful that has not made some sort of sacrifice, whether it's with their time. You might have to say no to things that other people are saying yes to. You might have to say no to going out for drinks. You might have to say no to answering the phone sometimes. You might have to, you know, turn your phone on do not disturb, or turn your phone off and definitely not scroll. You might have to delete apps on your phone to limit the distractions and to minimize the distractions. You have some type of sacrifice is likely going to have to be made to get to where you want to be, especially if you want to operate at, you know, a level of being a peak performer. It is so important to make sure that you are figuring out what is worth it to you and what is not worth it to you. Another huge um, factor for most peak performers is not comparing yourself to other people. Now, a lot of performers do um, study their competition, but they're not necessarily comparing themselves to people in their same field. They're just studying them, figuring out the gaps in whatever it is they're doing, and they're figuring out themselves how to fill those gaps, and things that their competition might have missed that they know that they can do. So it's if you are studying other people, or when you are studying other people in your same field, make sure that you're not comparing yourself to them. You can study, again, you can study your competition, you can study people in your same field, but going back to flowers and plants and stuff, like when it comes to comparing, it's just so pointless, because we're supposed to be different. When you think of flower, we part of the reason why we love nature and we love flowers and we love different plants, and just anything that grows naturally from the earth, a lot of the reasons why I know me personally why I love different kinds of flowers is that they are different. You don't see a sunflower trying to be a lily or a rose trying to be a daffodil. Like, all plants are so beautiful because they are so different. And so I think it's important for us to keep that in mind when it comes to our own individual personalities. None of us are the exact same, and we're not the same for a reason. Think about how many plants we eat, a potato and anything else that grows from the earth, a carrot. We get different nutrients from those different plants. When you think about different trees, the fruit that we eat off of trees, a lemon tree and an apple tree are two different kinds of fruit, and we need the vitamins and the nutrients from both of those fruits. And so we are all different for a reason. If we were all the same, the world just wouldn't work. And so it's so important to remember to not compare yourself or not to try to be like someone else. You can take things and learn things from other people. Like I said, I believe it's super important to have, the people who you look up to. Again, get your 3 to 5 people who, are doing things that you want to do or have lived lives that you want to live. Keep those people in the forefront of your mind, study those people, learn as much as you can from those people every single day. And you can, like, you know take you can implement things from their lives into your life, but do it in your own way. No one is going to be like you. And so it's really important to make sure that you are not, again, just comparing yourself to other people, because it is pointless. We are all supposed to be different. Making sure that you're getting proper nutrition and making sure that you're getting proper rest, it are peak performer habits. It is so important to make sure that you are taking your health seriously. It's so important that you are taking your rest seriously. I don't know any athlete, I don't know any super high performer in whatever field, top CEOs, top businessmen, businesswomen, women, even top influencers, top creators, who do not take at least some form of their health seriously. Again, sacrifices will have to be made. There are going to be nights where you will not sleep, especially if you're trying to build something from scratch. And if you have really big dreams and big goals, rest is probably going to be, one of the things that is sacrificed. But it is still so important to make sure that you are doing everything that you can to get proper rest, especially when it comes to nutrition as well. Make sure that you are fueling your body. Everything is going to work differently for every body, literally every physical body. It is so important to know your body, to learn as much as you can about your body, and your body is going to operate differently depending on the stage of life that you're in too. And so I remember when I graduated college, I was vegan for the whole summer, like summer and the like summer through the end of that year. After I graduated college in 2019, I went to Morgan State University. I graduated with a degree in English in 2019, by the way. But I felt like once I graduated school, I needed like a full body, full health reset. And so I just stuck to a plant-based diet because I ate like trash for 4 years straight, as a lot of people do in college. And so I just felt like I just needed a complete health reset. And so it worked for me. Being on a plant-based diet, I really learned, the importance of whole foods. I feel like being plant-based taught me how to eat. That's how I always describe it. When people ask me about, being vegan and that kind of thing, but it wasn't sustainable for me long term, because I do like getting my protein from meat. Meat and my body go very well together. And so I, I love how I feel when I have grass fed meat, when I have eggs in my diet, when I have, you know, things like salmon. But for that time in my life, I needed to be plant based so that I could give myself and my gut a little bit of a reset. And so, what works in one season might not work long term, but it's important to make sure that you are clear and make sure that you are identifying the season of life that you're in, especially in the context of when we're talking about flowers and plants and being in full bloom. We all know that, during the winter time, a lot of plants are not thriving. But the point of spring is that, there is a full bloom. The point of spring is that, plants and flowers come into their own, so to speak. I have a whole video about coming into your own. Go check that out. But it is, different seasons are for different things. And also, all flowers bloom and peak at different points. And so, yeah, again, going back to the comparison thing and comparing it to ourselves and our own lives as individuals, all flowers do not bloom at the exact same time. All flowers bloom at different points and different times, but they all bloom at the perfect time for them. And so, not just physically comparing yourself or your journey to other people, it's so important to not compare your life and your path to other people's paths, because we all are on such an individual, unique timeline that is like super important to think of when you think of flowers, and when you think of plants. There's so much that we can learn. That's why I'm doing this series from the themes of spring. But it's really true. Like, none of us are on the exact same timeline. None of us are on the exact same time frame, but we are, living lives that are perfect for our life's journey, for our life's timing, for how things are supposed to happen in our individual, unique lives. And so it's really important to make sure that, if you're someone who tends to get caught up in comparison, or are always comparing your timeline to someone else's timeline, really hone in on where you are in your life right now and be grateful for that. A lot of times when we hear about peak performers and we talk about success, it's super easy to, get, and when we talk about hitting our goals and becoming the best, fullest version of ourselves, it can be almost depressing to be obsessed with the end result, right? Because we all want success. We all want to reach our dreams, whatever that looks like for you. Your dream can be to raise a family. Your dream can be to be a performer, or to be a top athlete, or to be a CEO, or something massive, or on a stage. But it can also be something just like being a mom, or you know being an incredible homemaker. Like, it will look different for everyone, whatever that like peak or most ideal successful version of yourself is. It's going to look different for everyone. But if you are someone who is waiting and you feel like we hear the phrase living in the end a lot. If you're someone who is not where you want to be yet, it's really important to make sure that you are romanticizing the journey and that you are enjoying the process. Again, flowers bloom at different times. Flowers wait all year to hit their peak and to bloom. And so it's really important to make sure that you are allowing yourself to enjoy wherever it is that you are in your life right now, even if it's not exactly where you want to be. A lot of times, and I know because I've done this, it's really easy to get so obsessed and so focused on the end result that that's all you can think about, that you can wake up every single day super discouraged because you're not where you want to be yet. And during those times, we forget that where we are right now, as cheesy as it is where we wanted to be a few years ago or a few months ago. And so, just because you're not at that like pinnacle at the mountaintop quite yet, you have still made so much progress. And so, it's really important to make sure that you are really reflecting every single day, especially the days that you get discouraged, or that you experience failure, or that you feel like you're not where you want to be, and you have those moments of feeling like you're never going to get there. Really take the time to the progress that reflect on the progress that you have already made. It's going to be so uplifting. It's going to really remind you what you are capable of, and it's just going to give you a sense of relief when it comes to, achieving your goals and working so hard towards that one thing. You can relax in knowing that it's going to happen, because you've already hit that mark and that mark and that mark, whatever it's going to look like for you. You've already hit some benchmarks already. And so you've already hit some peaks. Even if it's little peaks in your life, you've already done it. Even if it's just graduating school, you like just think about little things that you've done throughout your life so far. It'll help you really romanticize the journey, make sure that you're enjoying the process, make sure that you are, like I said, just reflecting on the progress that you've already made, so that you are not getting discouraged about waiting, or, having to be patient, waiting for the end result, whatever that looks like for you. On the same topic of, getting discouraged or having setbacks or even experiencing failure, one of my favorite Kris Jenner quotes is that if you get a no, if someone tells you no, you're just asking the wrong person. And so it is so important to not let yourself um, get super discouraged if you do experience failure, or when you do experience failure, when you are told no, when you are told that that's a bad idea or that's not working. Figure out a different way to do it. Do not let yourself give up on the first try or the second try or the third try or the fourth try. Like, there are so many successful people. I'm sure we've all heard the story of Dr. Seuss, where he literally got like 10,000 no's for his books. All you need is one yes. And that one yes might take years and years and years to get. But once you get it, you have no idea like how amazing and how fast your life is going to take off. And so it's really important to remember to, if you get a no, you're just asking the wrong person. Do not let yourself get discouraged and set back, um, and give up on whatever it is that you're trying to achieve and to accomplish, just because someone tells you no, or just because something doesn't work out one time. Figure out different ways to do things. Top performers and peak performers in their own respective fields are really flexible and are really understanding that there's more than one way to hit a certain goal. There's always a different way. Sometimes the front door is going to be locked, you're going to have to go through the window. Sometimes the window is going to be locked, you're going to have to go around the back door. You're going to have to dig a tunnel underground to get into wherever it is you want to do, where you want to be, but it is possible to get there. And so just because the you might not be able to get in one way doesn't mean that there are not 15 different other ways to get into where you want to be. There are not 15 different other ways to get, you know, the goal or the result that you are working towards. Do not let any type of, you know, again, just failure or no or setback discourage you from keep being persistent. All success, all mountaintops are reached by being consistent and by being persistent and not giving up. That's why it's so important to have a strong why, because it's going to really give you that either you will or you won't energy, and it's going to, make you just be relentless. Being relentless and being resilient are also key factors in being a peak performer, and in reaching your peak. You have to be resilient because you are going to experience challenges. You are going to experience negative emotions. My favorite way to deal with negativity or my own negative emotions or negative thoughts is with confidence. There's a super famous quote, Ed Milet: confidence is built by keeping the promises that you make to yourself. You have to have a certain level of confidence in whatever it is that you're trying to do, because as cheesy as it is, believing in yourself is the only way at the end of the day that you're going to get it done. So be every, super successful person has a little bit of delusion or a lot of delusion. I'm thinking about like the Kanyes of the world, or the Muhammad Ali's of the world. When you tell yourself you're the greatest enough times, you're going to be the greatest, and other people are going to start to believe you too, no matter how long it takes. You have to get that sense of confidence, that sense of ego, and even delusion, to know that you are the ish, that you can do whatever it is that you're trying to do. You can be whoever it is that you are trying to be, because you already are that person. Like, you have to get in your head that there's no way, like no reality in which you are not getting what you want. Like, you can have whatever you want. You got to get that, again, get that confidence. And so for me, again, this really does work for me. Any negative thoughts, negative beliefs, any, discouragement that I feel, for me, I really do combat that with confidence. And so you have to do whatever makes you feel the most confident, whatever makes you feel at the top of your game, whatever makes you, when you look good, you feel good. So even down to the clothes that you wear, your mindset, positive self-talk, just anything that is going to remind you of who it is that you are, do that. Like, do that. No matter how delusional you have to be, no matter if it feels like you're lying to yourself every day, eventually, if you tell yourself a lie long enough, it's going to become the truth. Like, that's just how the laws of nature work. Like, you can trick your brain, you can gaslight yourself into doing anything. Your brain does not know the difference between, you know your imagination a lot of times and your reality. If you have a strong visualization, a strong imagination, the strong image in your head of what you want or who you are, your brain is going to do everything in your power to make that happen for you. Let your brain work for you. Let your imagination work for you. While you are taking the action and putting in the work and doing all the things physically, remember to let your brain and your mind do the mental work for you as well. Another huge part of living your life in full bloom is by savoring the little moments. Just like I was talking about earlier about making sure that you are enjoying the journey and romanticizing the journey and tracking, the progress that you've already made and, just enjoying the process of getting to whatever it is that you're trying to get to. Make sure that you're also savoring the little life's moments. A lot of times it can be so hard. Like we hit these again peaks, we hit these peaks of excitement and then there's a huge drop. Like I love going to concerts and there's like a horrible, not horrible, but like it's always like a drop after the concert's over when you've seen someone you've always want to see. And then the concert's over and you like want to see them 15 more times if you really enjoyed the show. Like that's just one example, but it can be applied to anything in your life when you hit a major goal. I've heard a lot of actors talk about winning the Oscar, and it's like they get that sense of like they have to kind of let the Oscar go because they have to be remind themselves that that's not it, that there is more work to do if they are still, still want to work. And so it's important to know that whatever it is that you are trying to do, wherever it is that you're trying to go, make sure that you are savoring the moments, those in between moments, the life's, special moments, even if it's just your cup of coffee in the morning, a book that you're reading, an award that you got. Even if it's not the award that you wanted or that you want, you still got something. And so celebrating the small wins is another way to think about savoring. How making those moments last as long as possible for you and just constantly keeping those, you know, those little happy moments of joy, having those moments as much as possible throughout the day and really savoring them, holding on to them, not rushing is a huge part of savoring and just enjoying your life as much as possible, lighting a candle, gardening or buying flowers, like whatever it is, those little moments. I love cooking, I love baking, the little moments, scrapbooking and putting together a photo album, looking through your photo albums. Everything is so digital now. Print out your pictures. Make sure that you have physical photo albums, and that if you're into scrapbooking, that you're doing that, and just that you are doing things that are making your life as fulfilling as possible and as fun as possible. Make sure that you're having fun with everything that you are doing. These are just a few ways to live your life in full bloom, to blossom into a fullest version of yourself, and to hit peaks in your life, and to be more of a peak performer or peak performing person. If you got anything from this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. If you have any tips in any of these areas or categories, please comment those down below. Go subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video, and make sure that you check out the other videos in this series. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you in my next one. Bye.